You're watching Extras from the Extension on Eagle Community Television. This show is brought to you by Carico Implement.
As we get into the warmer months of summer, I've been getting lots and lots of phone calls about weeds cropping up in some of our lawns and landscapes. And one of the weeds that I get a lot of phone calls about this time of year is this weed. It's called little barley. If you're mowing the grass, this is what it looks like. If you're not mowing, it can get upwards of about a foot tall. But it's a little grassy weed that actually comes up from seed every year in the fall. So it's a winter annual. And it has this little seed head on it that looks like barley, but I always like to compare it to winter wheat because it has a similar life cycle. So it starts growing in the fall when it's cool, stays green and small throughout the winter, and then once the spring comes, it kind of sends up its new growth, continuing to grow, and then about this time of year, you see the seed heads, and they look very similar to wheat, really. And so in a month or so, when the weather starts to heat up and get really warm, this will actually die back, just like winter wheat does. It'll turn yellow, and that's when I really get a lot of phone calls because people start to notice it. If you look across the grass right now, it just kind of blends in. You don't really pay attention to it, but once it starts turning yellow, people really start to notice and they call about it. So like I said, this is a weed that actually comes up from seed every year. So one of the best ways to deal with this would actually to apply a pre-emergent in the fall. So when we talk about pre-emergence in the fall, that's something that you put down before the actual weed comes up. And so we're talking about mid to late September. Now this is a little more difficult of a weed to control, so there's only a few things that are labeled to be effective on this weed. And those products contain a chemical called oryzolin, and this can be found in a couple different products locally, but I know one for sure is a product by the company Monterey called Weed Impede, or if you can find a product called Surfland, that's another one that contains that product oryzolin. Now like I said, that's a pre-emergent that you could put down in the fall. Pre-emergents are chemicals that create a little barrier right at the surface of the soil, so they need to be watered in to be activated. So you need to either time that before a light rain, or you need to water that in to make sure it gets activated. Now if you miss that application of pre-emergent in the fall and you think there's no other options, when you're talking about buffalo grass or Bermuda grass, those are both warm season grasses where this weed is more of a problem, there's still another option. It is a grass, so there's not a selective herbicide that will kill it and not kill your buffalo grass when it's actively growing. But when that grass is dormant, your buffalo grass, your Bermuda grass, in the middle of winter, so we're talking mid to late February, very early March, that buffalo grass is completely dormant, this weed will be green. And so you can go out at that time and spray with glyphosate, commonly known as Roundup, but it's in lots of different trade names, and that will actually kill this and not kill your grass. So that's another option if you didn't get that pre-emergent down in the fall.
You can stop after fall, and I'll change it.
I was about done anyway, I just knew I was going to start coughing.
Whenever you're ready,
Talking too much. So those are the options for getting rid of this weed in a chemical way. The other option right now, of course, is to go out and hand pull. And the nice thing about this weed is it has a really shallow little fibrous root system, so it's not hard or difficult to pull at all. If you wanted to take the time and hand pull, that's certainly an option. So if you have any questions about little barley or other weeds that are showing up in your lawn right now, don't hesitate to contact your local extension office for more information. Reporting for K-State Research and Extension and Eagle TV, I'm Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Extension Agent.
You're watching Extras from the Extension on Eagle Community Television. This show is brought to you by Carico Implement.
Spring is here, and that means it's time to come out and visit Carico Implement in Hays, Kansas for all your lawn care needs. We stock and sell the full line of John Deere riding lawn equipment, along with Honda walk-behind mowers and generators. We also offer the full lineup of steel power products. If your project requires even more muscle, check out our full lineup of John Deere compact tractors and skid loaders. And don't forget, we have the parts and services to keep you up and running all spring long. So whatever your spring lawn care and maintenance needs are, come on out to Carico Implement for a solution that fits.